Good evening. You are tuned to KGVM Bozeman. We are Gallatin Valley Community Radio. We're on your FM radio dial at 95.9 megahertz. We're online at kgvm.org. It's time tonight for the local musician spotlight. And before we jump in, I would like to thank some of our sponsors, Cactus Records and Gifts, that Weirdo store. No longer on the sunny side of Main Street. They're out on West Main, out next to Rook's Comics and across from the mall. And I'd also like to thank Bozeman Brewing, Bozeman's original craft brewery, and Music Villa, legendary musical instruments here in Bozeman. If you haven't been into Music Villa, you might not have ever been to Bozeman. So thank them for their support. And tonight, we've got something a little bit different for the spotlight. We've got a band that's actually on the road touring through Montana, and they're going to be doing a show at the filling station. So we decided we would tape an interview, and then we'll cut in some footage from the show at the filler. So I'm here with Lung, and thanks for agreeing to do this.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
This is great.
I'm really looking forward to this. It's your music is a little bit different from a lot of rock and roll, kind of a cello and drum duo, and yeah. You probably don't run into too many of those out on the road when you're crisscrossing the country.
Every once in a while, but it's rare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're out of Cincinnati?
Yes, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Nice. And you're how long have you guys been on the road for this tour?
Oh gosh, like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks.
It's right at about.
So we're right at the halfway mark. So we have 3 more weeks to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's it been going so far?
It's been going really well. It seems like, people have this newfound love for music after not being able to go see live music for so long, which is really nice.
It is. I was just talking to somebody. I was down here on Saturday night, and some local bands were playing, and it was hopping.
Yeah.
And I was talking to somebody, and they're like, "Man, is it always like this?" And I'm like, "Well, the last couple of months it kind of has been." And so we were kind of remarking about how there's certainly been a the last 2.5 years, there are a whole lot of different things you can think about the last 2.5 years, but it does seem to me like it helped people remember some things that maybe were pretty easy to take for granted in the past, because I'd noticed this kind of downhill trajectory of people going out to see music around here, and I don't know if it's that way everywhere or was, but it seemed like people had a lot of entertainment options at home and sort of were kind of taking advantage of them, and after getting locked in their houses for a couple of years, I think they figured out that maybe there are some things about going out and see live music and actually being around people that maybe they're good things.
I mean, I feel like it was such an extreme situation that the whole line was, let's get back to how it was. And people forgot that, like, at least I know where we live, kind of live music was, as you said, there was a little bit of a dwindle. And people are now, as you said, also, like, people are now, oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I love live music.
Like, it gets old after a while.
Yeah, exactly. And so my fervent hope, and who knows how this will turn out, but I certainly hope that doesn't fade after things kind of, if things get back to normal, that people, at least for some period of time, they keep it in their mind that, hey, this was important to me and it feels good, so I should keep doing it.
Yeah.
And I
Great.
It's hard to separate out from that, but it seemed to me like around here that people did like have a little bit of a consciousness, awareness increase of the fact that they actually need to support music and musicians. It doesn't just, the Tooth Fairy doesn't drop musicians off and keep sustain them through their lives. It's like, no, if you like music, you need to do that. And I think people reconnected with that a little bit, and so I hope that awareness continues after things get back to normal. But I'm glad to hear that the tour's good crowds and
shockingly good.
No.
Shockingly good is a good descriptor.
Yeah,
that's the good kind of shock, I guess, for sure. So how long have you guys been together as a band?
5 going on 6 years.
I think we're right about 6.
Yeah.
Wow. And so I've seen an album that you did in, 2017? Bottom of the
Yes.
Barrel? Mm-hmm. Was that your first album?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of a demo that got out of control. Like we were going to record a 4 or 5 song demo, and somehow we recorded like 12 songs.
Yeah.
Then we put it out.
Yeah, well, it sounds great. So
Thank you.
I think that was a good move. And then you had another, 2 albums since then?
Yeah, so we released All the King's Horses in 2018, I believe. That was our first one on Sofa Burn Records. And then in the last year, we recorded Come Clean Right Now, which is an album of songs that we wrote over the internet during the beginning part of the pandemic.
When you so you wrote the songs and kind of worked on them remotely?
Yes.
When it came time to record, did you also do that remotely and swap files, or?
At that point, things had gotten a little bit more, like there was more knowledge about masks and about how the virus spread, so we were able to sort of like do it as responsibly in person as we could.
Yeah, like we recorded in a big room with our friend, and we all wore masks and everything.
Yeah. And since we're lucky, since we're a 2-person band, neither of us really, like I trust Daisy, like he's one of my best friends, and neither of us really went out much at all during the pandemic, so it was kind of like,
Felt fairly safe.
As safe as anything.
There was a
Weird
point
times.
where we were both like out of jobs for like over a month, and it was like, neither of us go anywhere. Like we can probably practice and it's okay.
Yeah.
We're not really,
So, the material on that new album, I probably ask this too much, but it fascinates me to kind of get glimpses of how the pandemic affected people and
Totally.
especially songwriters. Mm-hmm. So how did you find writing during that time compared to for the previous albums?
Well, first off, having like a new format was actually really kind of helpful and inspiring. Like, since we weren't really able to be in the same room, like sending files back and forth just had a different vibe in itself completely, and sort of allowed us to be even more creative. And then as far as how other ways that the pandemic influenced it, a lot of the lyrics, it just was such a crazy headspace that we were all in, like collectively. And it's impossible, I think, to write any music in that time without having it like reflect in some way a collective weird just insanity that we all went through.
Like, even if you're not writing a song, like, because I feel like the running joke is every band has a pandemic song now. But
Yeah.
even if you're not writing that, like, the vibe kind of seeped into everything else in a weird, like.
And just like the darkness of it all, but then like when there would be sweeter moments, like how much more special those like glimmers of hope or connection were during that time.
Yeah, I think that seemed to be kind of a common thread for a lot of people. There were either some like super angsty songs, or just foreboding songs. But for some people, and I think this probably people that were here because, the population density is a lot less and stuff. Some people, there was still the aura of angst, but I think some people found out that they had more time to themselves, and if you were in a place where you could kind of get away from everything, having that extra time, I think for some people felt a little bit liberating. So I think that probably for some people that affected them in a different way. But I think you're right that I don't know how you could. I mean, you'd have to really be able to dissociate yourself to like really get outside of what was going on if you were writing music. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say we normally don't write an album in a month, so we were pretty bored.
Yeah, so it came fast and furious, huh?
Oh,
Totally.
yeah. Oh, yeah. And then we have a hidden third album that we recorded in 2019 that we wanted to put out in 2020, but then everything happened and we just sort of, another album just happened very quickly. That album is called Let It Be Gone, and it's going to be released in October of this year.
But you've got it all recorded and everything?
Yeah, that's been done for,
Years.
over 2 years. Yeah. Like we just, not that we like that one too. It's just this one sort of felt more.
It felt more chronological, even though it was like out of order. It felt like an album to come out like this past year and now. And the one that we wrote before bizarrely feels like it fits into like 2022.
Yeah.
Like part of the weirdness is that it's already a time capsule. Like it's from like 3 years ago. I mean, tons of bands have an album that comes out 3 years later. Now 3 years seems like an insanely long time.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like it's
Yeah.
wild how it's almost retro. Like it's kind of nuts, like, you know.
COVID time was anomalous. It's like in some ways, yeah, it seems like an eternity.
Yeah.
In other ways, it seems like
the blink of an eye.
yeah, it's like, wow, where did those 2 years go?
Yeah.
I mean, yesterday I was lamenting that it felt like 2 decades. Today it feels like it was 2 minutes. And yeah, I mean, time is always weird, but the last couple of years were extra super
Especially weird.
So.
I feel like I've noticed it even more being on the road this past time around, because we've gotten to see some old bands and old friends, and like it literally feels like no time has passed since we saw them, but it's like, oh no, we all went through this crazy time and here we are. So yeah.
Cool. Well, I think now we'll probably cut to some of the concert footage. Any songs in particular you'd like to talk about before we have a glimpse of them?
Sure. Well, there's a song called "I'm Nervous" that is kind of near and dear to my heart, because it was just like, it sort of encapsulates like that feeling of like you have so many problems, but then when you zoom out, the world has far more problems than you, so it makes your problems kind of look ridiculously silly and small. And that song sort of like, I feel like, does a good job of like zooming out and zooming in without taking either super intensely. So yeah, that song. What are some other ones? That Sugar Pill is another one. That one's a little more harsh, a little more like snappy and like mean with the lyrics. Like if you listen to what we're saying, it definitely has more of a directness and a like, is it sarcasm or like satire, or what is it even? Like, I don't even know the word.
I guess it's sort of sarcastic.
Yeah, just like a sort of
Slightly
biting quality.
Yeah.
Like that, I mean, sort of paints like the polarization, like the ever-growing polarization of this country and the world.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You should tell them about Arrow too.
Era?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
So the last song that we play in our set is called Arrow, and it's a love song I wrote to my girlfriend Paige, and it was like I was saying earlier about like how during the pandemic there were like some brighter moments that seemed sweeter and like darker moments that were just freaking miserable. That song is just sort of like a love song during tragic, weird times. So.
Nice. All right. Well, we'll take a look at some of the concert footage, and I'm looking forward to this.
Awesome.
Right.
Thanks for chatting with us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
But I will feel everything if you feel anything. I want the sweetest dysfunction. I want your skin in electric touch screaming through my mind. It's just a mess of hot wires, baby. Give me a that I really wanna. Is there anything you want me to know? I should lose your mind, but yeah, I gotta be closer. I should lose your mind, but yeah, I gotta be closer. Give me something that I really wanna. Give me something that I really wanna. Give me something that I really want. Give me something that I really want. Give me something that I really wanna. Thank you. Knew that you were there the whole time, but didn't know that you were waiting for some word or something else to be found that we knew you wouldn't find. You used to leave your house with a gun, but something thought that you'd be saving someone else. But honey, we both know well that you'd only save yourself. How inviting with your best dress on. How inviting with your super water. Later on, so proud, we always thought we were the right ones, right? We used to be so big in our boots to notice anything wrong. You always had this look on your face. There was a spark like you were painting some wild kind. Yeah, I didn't know what, but I knew I'd play along. How inviting with your best dress on. Wars were fighting with the TV on. So inviting with your sugar water. It's enough, just find another generator. Sugar water. It's enough, just find another generator. Sugar water. It's enough, just find another generator. It's enough, just find another mouth to kill. It's enough, just find another generator. It's enough to. It's enough to. It's enough, just find another generator. It's enough, just find another mouth to kill. It's enough, just find another generator. Only blue skies when I'm not wrong. Only bright eyes when I'm headstrong. It's all over, put your gloves on. It's all over. Only laughing till we're in bed. Only laughing. Only laughing till we're all dead. Only laughing. Only laugh. Ha ha. What are you asking for in turn? What are you asking for in return? What are you asking for in turn? What are you asking? What are you asking for? What are you asking for in turn? What are you asking for in return? Is it possible to give one for the other? Is it possible to give one for the other? Is it possible to give one for the other? Is it possible? Is it possible? They promised a different life. They promised a different story. They promised a different mind. They promised a different story. possible to give one for the other? Is it possible to give one for the other? Is it possible to give one for the other? Is it possible? Is it possible? Is it possible to give one for the other? Is it possible to give one for the other? Is it possible to give one for the other? Is it possible? Is it possible? We're from Cincinnati, Ohio. It's really great to be back in Bozeman. Thanks for having us. No, I don't owe you. Don't owe you anything at all. And I'm all but out from all your lying now. I don't know you. I'm a ghost to where you've gone. I'm a stranger done with trying, and you never really said you're sorry. And you never were the best at being wrong. And you thought I never saw all the little flaws in your story. So I always played along, always played along, always played along. Always changing masks to play the parts. But now the crowd is gone. There's no one left watching. Now we are actors trading faces for the win. But it's all over, yeah. I'm tired of smiling at you. Never really said you're sorry. And you never were the best at being wrong. And you thought I never saw all the little flaws in your story. So I always played along, always played along, always played along, always played along, always played. Oh come on, John, oh come on, John. You're talking fire, nobody's listening. Oh come on, John, oh come on, John. Look at the walls come and say you've gone missing. Oh look at her right now, look at her right. But she's the messenger moving and hissing, and you can't just hold the roof up with your whole world caving in. But you never really said you're sorry. And you never were the best at being wrong. And you thought I never saw all the little flaws in your story. So I always played along, 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 always played along. Na 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 ticking days and watch the second hand unwind. And it's a joke to mock my luck when there is so much trouble, so much trouble, so much trouble. I can't begin to wake up, make up. This feels like my feet are hanging from a rocky cliff, but nothing moves and all our arms are stiff, and we don't want to stumble down. I used to love to have control, feel like the day was in my grip. I used to love to have control, turns out illusion is a bitch. I cry out to the hollow skies and ask for rain to follow, rain to follow, rain to follow. I can't begin to wake up, make up. This feels like my feet are hanging from a rocky cliff, but nothing moves and all our arms are stiff, and we don't want to stumble down. is simple, it is clean, a different kind of way the world could be. But we are just a dream here, we are just a dream. I want to make a better world, I want to make a better world. It is simple, it is clean, a different kind of way the world could be. But we are just a dream here, we are just a dream. I want to make a better world, I want to make a better world. 3 years, 10 points all shut down. Place your best bets on the horses, place your best bets on the smoke and the dealers, cause baby it all will be gone. 3 sleepwalkers all rocked out. Don't you love the disappointment? It's impossible to know what to do when there's not enough words in the ground. Did you ever even know what you would want it? Did you ever even know what you would want it? They are knocking on the door. Place your money in the floorboards. You know it won't keep you warm in a future that just wants us out of it. They are knocking on the wall. Well, we pray for evolution. Find the exit in a world that's a place where there's not enough oxygen. I watch lights on street lamps. I watch lights on street lamps. I watch lights on street lamps, screaming to be close to it, they're yearning for all. But all you was a joke, it was a notch, it was just and it all just served
Cincinnati, Ohio. We were in Bozeman like 4 years ago, and it's really, really great to be back. Thanks for having us. Thanks for coming out on a Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. Also, Stephen, holy shit, y'all are freaking amazing. So thanks for playing the show with us. My name's Kate, that's Daisy. I do want to take a second to introduce the third member of our band, the silent member of our band. She does all of our artwork, all of our merch, and has traveled with us since the beginning. Her name is Kate Caplan, and I think she's right over there. Yes, there she is. Thank you, Rochelle. She'll be selling our bright, new, fancy, delicious, creamy vinyl called Come Clean right now that we just released a couple months ago, as well as some t-shirts. We have a couple more songs. Thanks so much for having us. Yeah, do we have time for two more? Two more? Two more songs. Shall I just whisper into the microphone forever?
Rock on is hard and as long as you want.
Oh, thank you. I think we're going to do two. All right. I got to remember how this one starts. And I know love is better when it hurts me, and it hurts a little harder with you. But I just keep on searching just to find love at the bottom of the barrel. Oh.
Yeah, I know love is better when it hurts me.
barrel, of the barrel, of that barrel. Oh. Melody start again. Hours are lost refrains. Melody start with lips hanging on your name. Your body is warm now, pressed along my spine. My body is yours now. You're mine. Give me love, give me darkness. As the fates keep changing hands, as the strange world surrounds us, keep my heart from sleeping. Catch myself watching you, see you're so immense. Catch myself watching you, but nothing else makes sense. Lines on my forehead seem to mark the time. Time is all yours now. You're mine. Give me love, give me darkness. As the fates keep changing hands, as the strange world surrounds us, keep my heart from sleeping. Ooh, and the days, they keep on turning, each day faster than the rest. Keep me here in this moment. Keep my heart from sleeping. Give me love, give me darkness. As the fates keep changing hands, as the strange world surrounds us, keep my heart from sleeping. When our days all are over, but the stars keep shining through, feel the wind start to sing loud. I will always be with you. Thank you so much. Have a fabulous evening. We are Lung.
Man, you guys are great. A lot of fun. I was wondering, we talked a little bit about the pandemic and the last couple of years. Obviously, things went from there to a whole different plane of angst and unsettledness and stuff right now with everything going on in the Ukraine and and here at home it's been a year, and so
Yep.
how is that impacting your tour or your just the way that you approach your music currently?
As far as speaking to how things are here goes, I feel like it's more important than ever to be doing loud, confrontational, aggressive music that is meant to like inspire people who feel, undervalued. And by that I mean like all the stuff that's going on with like all the don't say gay laws that are going to be, looking like they're going to be passed. I mean, like it's more important than ever in this country to be loud about that kind of stuff and to just be a person that doesn't quite fit into the mold. And then, I mean, what are your thoughts on Ukraine? I mean, I know we're feeling it. Like, I feel like everybody's feeling it.
I mean, it's fucked up. War is fucked up. It shouldn't be happening. Oh, wait, I'm coming on the radio. War is messed up, and it shouldn't be happening. I think that's pretty, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird to think about how we were just over there a couple years ago touring and like...
It's like we were in Riga, and like a lot of the people who were like have been exiled from Ukraine are in Latvia now.
Yeah.
And like just like reading these reports of like these people like, you know, Russia trying to like poison, you know, people who are against them and stuff like that. It's like we know this place, and it's like it's already messed up, but it's like I don't know, just kind of being like that region in our minds, you know, like
yeah. I think that's interesting. I don't know if this is true, but it feels true that as things intensify, that people, I think, tend to gravitate toward the louder, more confrontational, more in-your-face music. You know, that's when you get, you know, hardcore punk and, you know.
I feel like people need, at least for me, like louder music helps you process harder emotions. I mean, everybody's feeling so much. Like I'm really into some like Baroque music, and like the whole theory of that time was that like music, like darker music and minor keys, you would listen to it as medicine, and it would like help you process your like those hard emotions, and sometimes they would help you process illnesses back then. Like that's what they thought.
Right.
And so I feel like, yeah, with this like collective trauma from the pandemic, and then also just like the intensely bizarre, uncertain times that we're going through right now, heavier music, all music in general too, but like heavier music is like, it definitely is important.
Yeah. Maybe a little more catharsis from it.
Yeah, just
somehow.
like a release. Like when you hear it, at least for me, when I hear heavier music, or like it's like I feel like someone else understands how I feel. And it's not even on this like conscious level. It's just like this feeling in my body of like being understood and going through this like the same thing as someone else.
Yeah. Cool.
How are you hanging in? Like, have you noticed, like with music that you receive, that you've been getting different types, or like after the pandemic, what kind of differences in sonic stuff have you been encountering?
I think, and part of it I think is just the connections of the people that are sending me music. A lot of it's kind of more folk and Americana, and so there's definitely this tendency towards a little more introspective stuff there, and you know, like you said, everybody's got their pandemic song or their pandemic album, and we've gotten quite a few of those. Like it was, amusing isn't quite the right word, but you know, it was like, oh, it was kind of something at first, and then after a while, it's like, yeah, okay. I think that we've trod that ground pretty well. It's getting a little threadbare. So
I think that's part of the thought of putting out a record from before the pandemic now is sort of like almost a nostalgia, bringing it back for when it wasn't like that, and to move forward in a way.
Kind of reset the bar a little bit, trying to help everybody kind of
press the
get
reset
back.
on just to the craziness of 2016. Just press the reset to that. You know?
I mean, you know, when you're longing for a reset to 2016, things have gotten pretty weird. Yes, that's
oh man,
Hunter S. Thompson would be going, yeah, see, I told you guys.
Oh my
gosh. He made a choice. I respect that. Really wish that dude was around to comment on all this stuff.
Oh man, no kidding. Yeah, I think he would have some pretty pointed commentary about some of the things that are going on. Or, you know, George Carlin. I'm sure he would have some nuggets of wisdom that he could somehow seine out of the insanity. So
fun and true story. My first band when I was a teenager practiced in Hunter S. Thompson's childhood home.
There you go. Yep. It really is a small world.
Oh yeah, small Kentucky.
It's a small Kentucky. Big world, small Kentucky.
Big world, small Kentucky. That almost sounds like an album title right there.
Someone has to have done that.
Probably.
We'll give that one to Jeremy.
We're gonna
Pennell.
do an Americana album called Big World, Small Kentucky. The Lung Experience.
The lung experience. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys. Kate Wakefield, Daisy Caplan, Lung, and it's been great to have you on the show, and I hope the rest of your tour goes as well as the first part. And
Thank you.
the crowds keep showing up, and I'm sure they will, but I hope next year that the same is true. So.
Well, thank you.
So
Thanks
too.
for having us. This was really great.
It'll be interesting if music becomes like the McRib, where it's sort of like you have it for a little bit and then it disappears.
And then you bring
Yeah.
it back.
It's like the nacho fries at Taco Bell.
Yeah,
Right.
maybe that's the secret. You have to take it away and build up the anticipation, then make it a limited availability to, freak people out, fake people out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate it, but I that is how things unfortunately work.
It does work, and the fact that it works is, I think, a little bit of a sad commentary on the state of humanity. But
Yes.
Same, but I also realize that I'm probably in the minority on that one too.
yeah.
Well, I do want to take just a sec. Sometimes we're a little bit hard to find on the internet just because there's several bands called Lung. But if anybody's interested in following what we do, we post all of our tour dates at lungtheband.com, and then we're on all social media platforms at Lung the Band.
Cool.
So, yeah.
I can
and-
vouch for the fact that if you look for Lung on Bandcamp, you will find your albums there.
Hey.
I'm a big fan of buying music instead of renting it.
Yes.
So I'm
love
a
that.
Bandcamp fan, and not so much some of the streaming services.
Yeah.
I know I'm an anomaly too, because
Did you see that article today about the Stereo Gum article about how touring is really hard?
I did not.
It was interesting. But one of their suggestions is that Spotify should pay everybody more.
I was like, really?
Well,
okay. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah,
I don't think that's going to fix touring, but yeah, they should.
They should.
They definitely should.
They should.
I finally, after all of the hubbub with Spotify recently, I knew from friends that their royalty rate was, abysmal would be more credit than their due. And so I finally jumped off the bandwagon. And so I don't listen to streaming much, but it's kind of handy to check out some new stuff once in a while. So I switched to Tidal, and one of the things that I liked about them was their royalty rates are a lot better. But when you look at it, it's like, well, they're 5 or 6 times better, but that's still...
Of the 0.0000000 of a penny.
Yeah.
Here's my thing with Spotify. Like, if you called me up and you're like, hey, Daisy, I want Lung to play. I'm going to have this big party. It's going to be free. You're not going to get paid, but it's just going to be a fun time. Like, if we can make it happen, we'll probably, yeah, that sounds fun, cool. Now, if you are like, hey, Daisy, I want Lung to play this show, I'm going to charge $10 at the door, and I'm going to give you all like $1.
Right.
And it's going to be packed, but you're only going to get $1. Then I'm going to be like, no, that sucks.
Exactly. What do you take me for, sir?
Yeah, like if Spotify was just free, I think I wouldn't care. I think I'd be like, something about them paying them, it being a paid service that you get paid practically nothing for is the
Right.
thing where I'm like, just make it free. Just have some ads or something. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
like you're an app, you should know how to make that happen. You know? Like,
Yeah.
And they do. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's well, I guess there's a whole lot of work there to fix that whole mess. Maybe that'll be a topic for the next time around.
Yes.
I like records and radio. That's my
Yeah, I love the
vibe.
resurgence of vinyl.
Yes.
same.
It's like, I always kind of reflect with people about, and so part of this, like we were talking about, like I have this trouble trying to make sure that I don't assume that everybody else experiences things and thinks the same way I do. But so when I think about vinyl, when I was a kid, the budget was tight and stuff, but I joined like Columbia House Records and
Yeah.
getting those 10 records for $1 and stuff. There was just a lot of mystique wrapped up in unwrapping that thing and tearing the cellophane open, pulling the record out,
Yeah.
going through the liner notes in meticulous detail and stuff. And so for me, there's still that thing. There's still that mystique about that format that I cling to. And as I look around, it seems like I'm not the only one. I mean, as vinyl is making a comeback, it's like even younger people, I think there's something about it that you just make more of a connection to, I guess. And
I think it brings the specialness back to music, the personal connection with it of like, and everybody's attention spans are so short with all the apps that if you buy a record and you put it on and you just sit and you listen to it all the way through, like, yeah, you could do that with this streaming service, and many people do, but like, we really are bombarded with so much content in life that like sitting down and listening to a record is like,
You can just like
feels good.
flipping the sides, like it's sort
Yeah.
of like you're sort
Yeah.
of like, okay, this is part of the process, like which like people have. I have a similar relationship with cassettes and CDs too, where it's like there's a tangibleness, there's a tactileness to like,
Right.
And the formats are very different. Like with records, it's like if we're gonna do vinyl, it's okay. What's side A? What's side B? Which feels very different than like a CD that goes all the way through. Even a tape,
Right.
like tape is a little more similar, but like
Yeah.
that makes it a different experience just than like app running music in the background.
Yeah, that you're not really even.
Right. Yeah.
Which
you
again, that's
you
fine,
can't
too.
completely check out because at some point you have to take some action to get the next one loaded.
Yeah.
Unless you've got like a 100-disc changer. I guess
Right.
there's nothing much you can do for that. But
That stuff never really caught on. Like I'd
No.
see those in people's cars, and it's like they never used it.
yeah.
So weird. But I think ultimately I'm not a hater on streaming too. I mean, like as you said, it's a great way to discover music.
Yeah.
It's a great as you know, because you brought up the Columbia Record Club and all that. Like sometimes you would get a record or CD or tape, and it'd be like a bummer, and it would be like,
Yeah.
oh man, this is not good.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
you had to spend like between $8 and $20 on something that sucked. And it's-
Yeah. And then
Sometimes-
you're out there trying to like pawn it off on a friend and trade it for something you did like or something. Yeah.
And some of that's just, I mean, very rarely is it just like totally terrible. It's a lot of it's taste, and it's
Right.
just like you can at least like wade into it and be like, do I like this or not? Like, is this?
Right.
And I think it's very valuable for that.
Yeah, I definitely. All right. Well, thanks again. It was great talking to you, and love your music.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us on. It's very
Yeah,
cool.
you bet.
It's fun to chat.